All right, good morning, everybody. Hello. It feels like we went feels like we went back in time to January or February when we were online. But at least I'm able to touch base with all of you. It looks like everything is good on my end. Can you all hear me and see me? Okay. I'm just double checking, and remember, your way to communicate with me is in the chat like it was way back. This feels like we went back in time. Okay, perfect. Thank you. And again, I'm sorry that we are meeting this way. I actually feel like my voice is a little bit better today, which is good. As a side note, and I don't know if it matters necessarily or not, but as a side note, I am now on heavy antibiotics. Oh, thank you. So I was just going to tell you either way. As a side note, I'm on heavy antibiotics now, and I actually found out why I ended up in the emergency room. I developed something called Serotonin Syndrome, which is actually kind of relevant to our class. If you remember back when we were talking about mood disorders, we talked about Serotonin Syndrome, and I've lectured about it for years, but I took two different medications that interacted with each other in a really dangerous way. It actually could have been fatal. So it's good that I went to the emergency room, and I am hopefully now going to be on the right track. So between getting very sick with like a cold and sinus infection and that, it was just clearly more than my system could handle. So I am hopefully on the right track at this point, and we will hope that this is our last day of interruption. So again, I'm so sorry. Thank you all for your patience and understanding, and hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of extra time at home today, or if you're on campus already, whatever. So I just want to go over a couple of things. Yeah, it was actually quite scary. My blood pressure was 176 over 130 when I was in the emergency room, which I was like right there on the edge of a seizure. So I am very grateful that I went to the emergency room at 3 in the morning, and that everything is figured out. So thank you. That's very kind of you to say. I'm glad I'm still here too. Right. I said that to somebody yesterday. They asked me how I was doing, and I'm like, I am glad I'm still here. So again, my voice still sounds like junk, but hopefully it won't be too much longer, and I'll be doing okay. So what I want to do today is I want to just talk about a couple of reminders. So I want to go over the things that I assigned and I went over on Monday. And then I want to spend some time talking about the final paper because that's due next week. And I really want to make sure that you're feeling good and clear about that. So we'll spend some time talking about that, and then we'll call it a day. So this won't be a full class, but I'm glad so many of you are here with me. Thank you so much. And make sure at some point you put your name in the chat. I'm putting the attendance down, and I sent this reminder out. But if you do have a moment to do this, so many of you were subscribed for free previously when we were meeting online. And that saves me, as I mentioned before, like 15 steps in terms of attendance today. So if you have a moment, if you either could right now or when we're done today, it'll still record for me. If you could go back and renew that free subscription. So if you have the little football cake next to your name, that means you're good to go. So a couple of you are all set. And then there are a few of you, Connor, Vikshara, Serena, Vanessa, both Vanessas. There's a couple of you who just have the little crown next to your name. And so you just need to go back in and click that resubscribe for free button. And if you can't figure it out, don't worry about it. But it definitely saves me some time. So if you have the chance to do that, thank you. Otherwise, let's go over to Canvas together and take a look. So I sent out an announcement on Monday. And so let's start with that. Okay. So the announcement that I sent out on Monday when I met with all of you was to just give you these couple of pieces of information and then one assignment for this week. So since we had a very short class on Monday, and obviously we aren't meeting like normal today, what I asked you to do is make sure that you read chapter 13 in the textbook, which is all about personality disorders. And personality disorders are really, really interesting. A lot of your characters in your diagnosis papers, a lot of you suspect a personality disorder. So hopefully this chapter will be helpful for you. I also have a lecture video that I have right here, and this was from last semester, but I was healthy at the time, so hopefully it's nice and clear. But if you click on this link, it's just a Zoom link. Continue. What you'll be able to do here is watch that video lecture. So you can see here it's 53 minutes, so it's almost the length of a class. There's definitely captions. There's lots of little video clips in here. So this is going to be really helpful for you in filling in those gaps with this chapter. So if you watch this and take notes and pay attention, then you won't have missed out on any of that information. So read the book and then watch the lecture video. And again, there's lots of little clips and examples in there related to the different personality disorders. So make sure you read the chapter, watch the video. And then I gave you a participation homework exercise. So that, remember, these are worth 10 points. A handful of you have already done this, which is fantastic. But if you click on participation number 5, access denied. Okay, that's good. Let me see why. I never know why. Canvas sometimes is difficult. Let's see if it works. There we go. So I'll double check that afterward. A lot of you have done it, so I'm not sure if that was just a glitch. Did anyone have a hard time opening that participation link? If you did, maybe let me know real quick. It opened just fine the second time, but if it didn't open for you, let me know. But for this one, what I want you to do is think about a couple of things. And this is linked to the wrong thing here. What is going on? Oh, I see why. Hold on one second. Canvas has been acting up a little bit. They had this massive update. And so, let's see. All right, give me one sec. Let's go back. Okay. Here we go. Yes, you said yes. Hopefully that means you were able to open it. But if you click on this, let's see if it works this time. No. I'm not sure why it's being difficult on my end. But again, I will go and check that when we are done. Oh, I see what's happening. Like I said, they had this massive update and it's been a pain. So let me go here and then I will show you in another minute. Okay, I'll fix that, so don't worry about that. I will fix that for all of you and you will be able to open it fine when we're done. But if you look at participation number 5, what I have for you is a personality party. And I always think this would be quite a bit of fun to actually be able to do something like this. But imagine that you were attending a party where every single person there had a personality disorder. And so there are 10 different personality disorders that we're covering. Not all of them are used, and the ones that are used are only used once. But these are the different people who are at the party. And if we open the little story here and can read through it, it's just a little scenario, right? Where every single person here who's at the party has like a little description of how they behave. And then so what I want you to do is match each of these individuals to the different personality disorders that we've covered, and then briefly explain why. And so if you scroll back up here, you're going to tell me which personality disorder do you think that Donna has, William, Sherry, Winston, Peter, Doreen, Harold, and John, and briefly explain why. And there is no overlap, so make sure you don't use any of them more than once. But this will give you a really good opportunity to practice making sure that you understand all of them. Yeah, if you go to the modules page, it will work. I'll fix the link on the announcement, and it should work just fine after that. But if you go to modules, you can access it there, but I'll fix it for you. So again, what you'll do is you'll read this little scenario, and I think this is kind of fun. You can picture it. I can picture it very clearly. I would love to be a fly on the wall at this party. But then again, which disorder does each one of these people have, and explain why. And you'll go ahead and submit that right here. So if I click on student view really quickly, you'll click start assignment, and that will allow you to either type your response right here as like a text entry, or you can upload a separate file. And either one is completely fine. Just make sure you do that before Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. So you have all the way to the end of the week to go ahead and work on that. So again, matching each one of these people to their respective personality disorder. And that will be great practice. On the next exam, you'll have some multiple choice questions where you'll do this. Nothing this elaborate, but I think this is a good way to review and make sure they all make sense. So while I am here, let me go ahead and just fix that. So in the announcement, I think what happened is I linked it. I forgot to update the link. Canvas gets very impatient if you don't uplink everything perfectly. So let me just fix that really quickly while we're here, so I don't forget. And then it should work just fine for all of you. Let's just make sure. Okay, so now it should work perfectly, and if it doesn't, for whatever reason, let me know, but now it should work just fine. So make sure that you work on that. The other thing that I want to spend some time talking about, yeah, Canvas, like I said, they had a massive update. There was a huge system update for the college a couple of days ago, and so there's definitely been a couple of issues. If you run into an issue, let me know, but I just fixed it, so it should work just fine on your end. Now I can just double check it one more time here, but it should be fine, and then it won't kick you out. If any of you want to double check really quickly, you're welcome to, but it should at this point be perfect. Last one to update. I know if I don't do it now, I'll forget. My brain is, you know, when you're not feeling well, how your brain is so foggy. So I'll just get it done while we're here. So the other thing I want to remind you of is that our last part of the paper is due next week. So our paper is due on April 20th. I'm going to put that in the chat really quickly. So the final paper is due on Wednesday, April 20th, Wednesday 4/20 at 11:59 p.m. on Canvas. Okay, so remember that the final paper is worth the same amount as a test. It's worth 100 points. You definitely want to make sure that you're spending a lot of time on it, making sure that the paper is very strong. As a side note, if you ever want me to look at a rough draft, I'm completely willing to do that. So you can go ahead and email me a rough draft at any time, let's say through like Monday night next week, and I would be happy to take a look and give you some feedback and let you know if you're missing anything. But the final paper is due. So let's scroll down and take a look at the final paper instructions. They're up here at the top under course documents and videos, or all the way at the bottom under all of the assignments. So let's click on Diagnosis Paper Part 3, Final Paper, and we'll go through this a little bit together. So Part 3 right here, as it says, is due by Wednesday, 4/20 at 11:59 p.m. And your final paper should be 5 to 6 pages in length, not including the title page or the references page. So I'm looking to see that you are using a little bit of APA format, and I'll show you where some resources are on that in a moment. But I want you to have a title page, which is very characteristic of APA style, and you should have a references page. Now, I'll let you know, when I grade your paper, the very first thing that I will do is look at, do you have a title page? Is it properly formatted? And do you have a reference page? And is it properly formatted? And if you look at the rubric that I have down here at the bottom, that APA style is worth 10 points. So if you don't have an APA, if you don't have a cover page, I know you didn't try that. And if your references page says like bibliography or works cited, again, I'm going to know that you didn't attempt APA format. So that is a very easy 10 points that I want to make sure all of you get. And as I mentioned, I will show you where some really helpful resources are on that in a moment here on Canvas. But let's go through the rest of the instructions, and then I'll show that to you. So it should be 5 to 6 pages plus the title page and the references page. Both of those are really, really brief. So 5 to 6 pages plus those two. The contents of your paper, what I'm looking for is that you have a brief introduction or summary of your show or movie. Now this should be just a few paragraphs. That's not the focus of your paper, but describe the show or the movie that you're doing. Give me some background and a quick summary. You're also going to want to have what's called a character description or a character profile. So if you're analyzing a character from your show, I don't know why I just thought of, I've been watching Ozark like crazy. So let's say I was diagnosing Marty from Ozark, and I would then paint a little bit of a picture of him. I would describe, how old is he? How would I describe him to another person? What are some kind of characteristics of him? Is he in a family? Is he married? Does he have children? What is his education like? You're going to just kind of give me about a paragraph describing your character. Give me a little bit about their demographics, their background, their personality, any kind of relevant information to paint a picture of what this person is like. The bulk of your paper is this, are these next 2 bullets here. you're going to be diagnosing your character with a disorder from the DSM. And it can be one that we've talked about already or one that we will get to, in the future. And either one is totally fine. But you're going to diagnose your character. And I would really encourage you to stay to 1 to 2 disorders at the maximum. Now, what you'll want to do for your disorder is go through each of the criteria in order to be diagnosed with that disorder. We call these the diagnostic criteria. And these are often the things that I write on the board, right? So what are all the different symptoms that you have to have in order to be diagnosed with that disorder? Then what you'll do is you'll give me specific examples or evidence from your show or your movie. Give me scenes or events that support your diagnosis and support all of those criteria. So let's say one of the criteria is that they have hallucinations. Then you would give me examples of incidents in the show where they have a hallucination that fit that criteria. So this is the biggest part of the points of your paper. Make sure that you cover every single criteria that they have to meet and make sure that you're giving examples to support. And I've seen people do this in a variety of ways. The best way seems to be to cover in like a paragraph is each criteria. So paragraph 1 might be criteria 1, and then you give me examples. And then the next paragraph is the next criteria with examples. And I'll show you some ways that people did that in a couple minutes. You're also going to talk a little bit about causes and treatments. What are some potential contributors or causes to that person's disorder or pathology? And if none of them are identified in the show, you can kind of speculate a little bit. That's totally fine. If they tell you in the show, that makes your life easy, but you're welcome to disagree with your show if you'd like. And then you're also going to express and describe some of the treatment options for your character. What are some ways that we could help your character with their disorder? And maybe they had some treatments in the show, and you could talk about those or maybe other things you might have done. If your character doesn't survive the show, you could talk about what you could have done in order to help them. A lot of the characters people are doing, die at some point in the show. And if that's okay, you could talk about what you could have done to help them. And then you'll probably want to have some closing remarks, right? Something to kind of sum it up or kind of close up your paper. Also remember, as I mentioned earlier, you'll need a title page and a references page. I'm also looking to see that you have some in-text citations, at least a couple. If you are describing the criteria for your disorder, you probably got that from the DSM or an article or something like that. And so make sure that you're citing that in your paper. Your citations don't have to be perfect. I'm not going to be that nitpicky, but I do want to see that you are citing them. You should also make sure that you have your show and your outside source on your references page. So those are just all things to keep in mind. And again, if you scroll all the way down and look at my rubric, you can kind of see here the things that I'm looking for. 10 points of the 100 is that APA style formatting. 40 points of the 100 is the diagnostic criteria and examples. Again, this is a huge part of your paper and the biggest part of your grade here. 10 points for covering causes. 10 points for covering treatment, 5 points for your summary, 10 points for your character description. I really want you to paint a good description of your character. Overall organization and flow of your paper is worth 5 points. And then your sources and citation is worth 10 points as well. So some of you on that outline and rough draft, I told you make sure that you add an academic source. Make sure that you have an academic source on your references page. Again, every single one of you could use the DSM. You could use a journal article, but it needs to be something other than the textbook and something that is academic. You're welcome to have more than one source, but you need to at least have one academic source, and that is worth 10 points. So altogether, the paper is worth 100 points, and make sure, again, that you're spending lots of time following all these instructions that are up here. And when you're ready to submit your paper, you're going to turn it in right here on Canvas. You'll click on Start Assignment, and then you'll upload it just like you've done with previous things in the past. Right? Are there any questions or anything so far? Let me put that in the chat here. Any questions about the paper? I want to go over some resources and examples and things that will help you. But any questions or thoughts or anything so far before I keep going? Oh, wait, just a second, just to see if you are all caught up to me here. If you think of something, feel free to put it in the chat, and of course, I'll answer it for you. But I want to show you some really helpful resources for this paper. And I have them all posted here under modules. So if you click on modules over here on the left, all the way up at the top, right? So here's the diagnosis paper instructions, just kind of the general instructions for the paper. And I want you to notice underneath it, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sample papers. And these sample papers are probably going to be really helpful for you. If you are sitting there going, I don't know how to format this, I'm not sure how to approach this, these sample papers might be really helpful. So let's just click on one randomly. I'll do hook here. And then what it'll do is it'll open up that document. And you can see, so this is this person's paper. And their paper altogether is 6 pages. And so what you can see here, here's the title page. And this one's formatted properly with the page number at the top and the title in bold and so on. I've removed their name, obviously. And then you can see the paper. Right, so this is how this individual formatted their paper, and they diagnosed Captain Hook from Peter Pan, which is I think a lot of fun. A lot of fun creative character choices. So you can see here's the summary, right, and then underneath it we have the character description. So this person's describing Captain Hook, Caucasian male, 50 years old, a little bit of description about him. And then we go into diagnosing him. So we have this whole kind of a discussion of his character. And then this person describes him as having post-traumatic stress disorder. And so what they do is they go through all of the criteria for post-traumatic stress and give examples for each one of them. There's some discussion of causes and treatment at the end. And then a references page with their show. And then also their academic source. So that's one example that you could look at. Again, there are several of them here. I think this one's really well written. This one on Black Swan. All of these were papers that got an A. But this one, a little bit more detailed. Again, you can see the cover page, which is organized properly. The summary, and then a description. Nina's a young girl in her mid-20s, kind of describing her character. And then here she goes ahead and diagnoses her with schizophrenia. And then you can see all of the different criteria and the examples to support. This paper is a little bit longer. And as a side note, I will never take off for your paper being too long, but you don't want it to be too short. So make sure that your paper is at least 5 to 6 pages without the title and references. It can be more, that's totally fine. This one altogether is 8 pages. So make sure that you are following all of those examples and criteria. Look through these. If you're having a hard time trying to figure out how to organize your paper, see how other people did it, and that might be helpful for you. The other things that are underneath it here, I have a Writing Center handout, a PowerPoint presentation, and some library resources. So if you're trying to figure out APA style format, this handout is phenomenally helpful, and the Writing Center and I have worked together to put this together specifically for this assignment. So if you click on this link right here, it's going to open up this document, and what they did here is give you a whole rundown of kind of basic APA style stuff. They gave you a sample title page and what that looks like, so you can just follow this format to a T. They even tell you how to do that, which is really, really helpful. They gave you some information about headings. You don't have to use headings, but you could use them. You could do summary, character description, diagnosis, causes, and treatment. And I've seen people do that in a way that is really helpful. It makes it very easy for me to find that information. They give you information here about how to cite things in the text, which again, I think is very helpful and clear. And then they give you information on what a reference page looks like, and an example of what that would look like as well. So I think this handout is very, very, very helpful. If there was only one handout to recommend for APA style, I would recommend this one. I also want to point out, if you remember weeks and weeks ago, where was it? Let's go back and find it. weeks ago, you were in charge of watching that video from the library and also the writing center. Let me see if I can find it here. Not chapter 5. I'm forgetting what week it was in, but it is here somewhere. Let's see, where are you? Where are you? I will find it here. I'm forgetting where I put it. But there was a video that I made you watch weeks ago from the Writing Center and the library, and they went over APA style formatting, and that's going to be something that might be really helpful for you as well. So I just wanted to point out those resources because I think that they might be really helpful for the paper. Check out the sample papers, look at the handouts that I have here. If you have questions about the paper, of course, you can always email me. If you ever want me to look at a sample paper that you have, you can also email me about that. And then I will go back and find that again. I'm not sure where that presentation is, but I do know that it's here, and I will go back and find it for you and make sure that it's linked somewhere that you can get to it easily. I think those are all the big things that I wanted to talk about with the paper. Are there any questions about the format of the paper, what you need to put in it, when it's due, anything about the requirements and stuff for this week? Anything at all I can answer for you about any of that stuff while we're here live together? I just want to make sure that you're all feeling good and clear about it. I will give you a heads up while I'm waiting for you. Bad timing. I feel like that's just like the essence of my last 2 weeks. But my kids do have Monday off. And so there is a slight chance that I won't be able to have class on Monday, depending on if my partner can stay home with them or not. I promise you that I will let you know very early so you can plan for that. I really hope that doesn't happen because we've been interrupted enough. But if it does happen, I will let you know. Yes, there's a DSM in the library. Coughing on you now. I've been talking a lot. If you go up right here, if you click on library resources, including the DSM, if you click on that, the library actually gave me a really helpful couple of resources right here. So you can see here's the DSM link for online, some citation information and tutorials, and so that might also be helpful. Or if you go to the actual library, you could just obviously use the physical copy of it. The physical DSM is almost always better. The online version's a little confusing, so I would definitely recommend using the real one if that's an option for you. Okay. So a couple of things before we end today. Again, if you have a chance, please go back and either subscribe to me for free on Twitch or renew that subscription if you haven't done that in a long time. I think I showed you before how to do this, but I could show you really, really quickly. I'm going to move this over so you can see it better. But if you go to Twitch and you go to my Twitch channel, and again, almost none of you have this subscription anymore because it expired. So if you could do this, it would really save me some time. Thank you. Almost. We don't need to hear me on there. So if I show you really quickly on my friends page, remember that right here underneath my title. So I'm just showing you on their channel. But if you were on my page, we don't need sound. If you were on my page, there's a little like purple bar right here, and they actually aren't on Twitch anymore. So let me show you on a football page. So right here, underneath the bar here, there's this little purple drop-down menu. All these people talking. If you click on this little purple drop-down and go all the way down to the bottom, there's this click where it says Use Prime Sub. I don't know if you can see that, but if you click it, and then you can subscribe for free with your Prime for a month. So that's just how you renew it. If you still have the little crown next to your name, that's all you have to do. And if you don't, then you have to go back and follow all of the instructions that I have for you, which I put on our Canvas page. So try and do that if you can, and if not, don't worry about it. But it definitely saves me time, and anything I can save time on is always helpful. So thank you for those of you who figured that out. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the week. If you have any questions about the paper, feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer them for you. And then don't forget to do participation number 5 on that personality party before Sunday night. And stay tuned. I will let you know on Sunday at the latest if I have to cancel class on Monday for any reason, whether it's my health or my kids. But either way, we are very much on track, and we are still doing just fine with our timing. And your points won't be affected at all because you can use your notes and everything on the exams. So that is everything that I officially had for you. About 30 minutes, so definitely a little shorter than normal. But any questions at all? I'll hang out for a little bit here if you do have any questions for me. Otherwise, hopefully, I will see you all on Monday. I will post a recording of this when we're done here on our Canvas page. But if you don't have any questions, you're welcome to go. And if you do have any, hang out and feel free to ask them of me. Otherwise, I will hope to see you all soon. So have a wonderful week. Take care of yourself. Stay warm. It's cold outside today. And otherwise, I will hope to see you all next week. So I'm going to minimize my video here, but I will still hang out for a little bit if you have any questions. Okay, great. Thank you. I think I saw an email from you, but I haven't gotten to it yet. So I will take a look at that later and let you know if I can't open it for any reason. Thank you as well. Thank you all for being on here with me. And again, I'm so sorry for the interruption that we had to go back to virtual for a week. Hopefully I'm on the right track here. I know what happened, and I'm on antibiotics, and hopefully everything will be will be better moving forward. I can't believe I got so derailed like this. So thank you. Yeah, you can still change your character if you want to. It obviously makes a little more work for you because you have to start over, but that's totally fine. If you found someone you're more interested in or it feels better, of course, go for it. That's totally fine. And you don't have to resubmit or let me know or anything. Just run with the new person, and that's completely fine for you to do. Thank you. You as well. Of course, both of you have a wonderful week.